Hello. Welcome, everybody, to episode 178 of Dissonant Waves. Domino, Ritz, and Trix are all here. I'm cracking,
Hello.
a,
Yeah.
I'm cracking a Diet Mountain Dew.
I have an Alani New Witch's Brew.
And you have a story
I have
for
water.
us.
I do have a story. Ritz, were you going to say something?
No, I said I have water. I was being,
You're the healthiest of us.
Well, that's probably true.
Just call me Lana Del Rey.
And call me a line cook. Anyways, this story is related to that because I had an incident with a local magic busker in my city. So, for some context, I need to just tell you about Magic Man, as we call him. He is a magician busker, and he always comes up to you and asks, "Do you want to see some magic?" And it's been reported that he was a bit of a creep to minors, and he's like an open Trump supporter who's like pretty racist, and like he was shouting "All Lives Matter" at BLM rallies. Oh, and he's black.
Oh.
So, yeah, I will link you guys to his Instagram and Twitter later in the private Discord because that's not going out there. But so, anyways, this was on Saturday, the day that we normally record, but I was getting out of work at 3 a.m. We all just weren't feeling it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to call an Uber. I open my phone, see that an Uber is $38 because it's 3 a.m. and all the drunk college students want to get home. So I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'll walk to 7-Eleven. I'll get some snacks because nothing's open and I'm kind of hungry. And as I'm cutting through this like walking area for like just pedestrians only, no cars, I take a right to like go to the 7-Eleven. And I lock eyes with him, the Magic Man. And at this point, I'm fucking like, do you want to hear some magic? Is like the last thing I want to hear at 3 a.m. because I feel like my kidneys are going to disappear or something. So, anyways, I'm continuing walking, dreading being like, oh God, what is he going to say? And I reached the point where I think he'd say something to me, and he hasn't. And so then I'm like, okay, something's up. And I look like 5 degrees to my right. And there's a dude sitting on a planter, naked, with his pants around his ankles, just fully engrossed in a phone game. Like he's playing at landscape too. So like he's on it. He is locked in. And just fucking next to him is an entire pizza box full of chicken tenders. And immediately I realized this guy was no threat. As opposed to the Magic Man, who I was still kind of worried about. So, anyways, that is the end of that story.
You reminded me of the
I don't know
joke.
why you'd be. Yeah, I'll just say I'll probably never be afraid of the naked man with the chicken tenders, especially compared to what seems to be the ghost of Herman Cain.
I don't think Herman Cain had an appreciation for magic.
That we know.
I mean, he managed to
in
treat
the past,
from the grave. I don't know.
Magic Man used to hawk rap cassettes for like $3 a piece under the name MC Carpet, and I'm trying to find one.
Oh my God.
Is that what we're covering next week?
No, it's not. I haven't found it yet.
I reminds me of a joke, though. Would you like to hear a joke?
Yes, let's hear it.
This is told by a doctor friend of mine. We all know that adults have 2 knees. But how many knees do children have?
They don't have kneecaps.
That's not entirely true. They do have kneecaps at some point. Let's pretend they do.
I assume it's 2.
Trix, any guesses?
They don't have kneecaps. They don't.
You know what? I've figured out what the fucking punchline is, and I'm going to quit the podcast, but I'm not going to say it to ruin Dominic's joke.
4. They have 4.
Yes, they do have
Adults
4.
Adults
knees.
have 4. And
kids have 2 knees and 2 kidneys. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fucking hate you.
That's one of my favorite doctor jokes.
So I was doing a magic trick that I thought could really do the rounds whilst I was up at Brisbane for Big Sound, and I figured I would just do a nice little card trick. You know, get them to pick a card, shuffle the cards around, do a little bit of talk, and then show them the card that they picked. It's a pretty, not convoluted one, but when you get it right every time, people go like, oh shit. The problem is that I didn't have any cards, so I used the coasters instead, and it kind of made it a little less impressive when every coaster was the exact same. But I still think I got the trick done right.
Committing to the bit is always important.
Yeah.
Speaking of bits, we have several albums and things and EPs to talk about this week.
Yeah, because speaking of Big Sound, I picked a bunch of artists I saw there.
I chose...
And Sunrun.
Yes. I chose the side project of Paranol, Mydreamfever, and the album Rough and Beautiful Place. I also chose 2 EPs released by Postcard Nowhere. Their collaboration with Janitor, There Was a Light in the Tunnel, and I Thought I Had Lost It. And then the side project, Xenia, Ohio, the Copyright EP. Trix, you chose 2 tribute albums to Schoolhouse Rock. Schoolhouse Rock Rocks and Schoolhouse Rocks the Vote, a benefit for Rock the Vote. What a title.
Yes.
In Ritz, you chose Sun Runs Crossing EP, Swapmeet's Oxalis EP, Armlock's Seashell Angel Lucky Charm, and Sesame Girl's self-titled EP.
Mm-hmm. Where
shall we start?
Trix, since you blessed us with a fantastic story this morning, how about you? You choose where we start.
Thank you for the story.
No problem. Just shit that happens to you when you live in a weird city. Let's start with the thing that I have the least to say, but I still really quite enjoy it, and that is that Mydreamfever album.
Do you like piano?
I do like piano.
Yeah, I like piano too.
That's great, because Paranol made like a whole piano album, like a new age, just chill, fucking just listen to some nice sounds kind of shit.
Yeah, it's weird to think about when we're comparing the Paranol stuff to Paranol stuff, in which the last 2 albums, this is not comparable at all to. It's completely different, but the debut Paranol, you can compare it to.
I suppose, yeah. It was a little more instrumental like this, and I guess if you went one direction, you get to see the next part of the dream. If you went the other direction, you get Rough and Beautiful Place.
Yeah.
There is, of course, the story of Paranol and like the history of the project, which we never truly talked about, in that there are apparently other things that Paranol did beforehand.
All right.
Apparently, before Paranol, there was Last Star, which had a ton of albums and a ton of things come out in like the later 2010s. All of it's gone. All of it's deleted. But there is also this Paranol thing, but then also Mydreamfever seems to be a little bit of that follow-up in a way of, hey, it's something else. It's not Paranol, but we're certainly not going back to the shit that I deleted.
Yeah.
It's one of those albums that I listened to it when it came out because I'm like, oh shit, Paranol side project kind of thing. I'm like, here's an offshoot of the whole thing. Let's give it a listen. And I can't say I was disappointed having listened to it, because I didn't really have any expectations, because I would have thought if it was going to be Paranol again, it would have just been under the Paranol name.
Right.
I don't think they were ever going to be weird enough to go start putting up the same stuff after different artist names and try and do anything like that. I figured, okay, well, it's a different thing for a different reason. They said before on the announcement that it would be a different type of sound, a bit more ambient, which is true.
Yeah.
And look, it's nice ambient background music. Actually, there's nothing really to critique, because it is lovely the whole way through. But it's not. It's not going through enough evolution in its full 60 minutes that I feel it justifies its runtime.
There are definitely nice passages of some songs. I think like Sprout has some really nice stuff on it. I really like parts of Circulation, Ether. But yeah, there's also just a thing of like, these songs are very long sometimes, and they kind of just do their thing for a good few minutes and then they change. And for some songs, I think that works really well. But then it just, the justification of it is more either it's for the aesthetic, for the effect, or What?
Yeah, it's. I guess it's just a moment. I guess we're covering because clean up the paranormal stuff while we can. But I agree with Trix. It's a nice listen, but there's not really much to say about it.
Yeah.
In a year that also gave us Paraglow 2022.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
which
100%.
a lot more that goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paraglow was 2022.
But it's a different sound.
Yeah. The White Ceiling EP was 2022. The beginnings of After the Magic. So a year that I think we would normally say was like a down year or a year in between when there really was a lot going on. We just didn't cover it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say anything else about this album. If you like some ambient kind of piano music, it sounds like what the album art looks like. I give that as a praise.
You know what I need to do while listening to this album? I need to take a proper long walk just to nowhere, just to take in the sights while listening to this album at close to sunset. So I just see all that beautiful golden hour.
I gave it a bit of a listen whilst I was walking around this afternoon. I can kind of get that vibe.
It seems more of a daytime album to me, like kind of a noon 1 p.m. kind of deal.
That was around the time I was walking.
When the sun is still beating out there and there's no risk of sunset yet, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't think it's much of a nighttime album.
Yeah. The one thing I do want to
I'm not really saying night. I'm saying more just sunset.
Yeah. No, I get
the hour before sunset, where you can shadows are long, and
I just don't get long shadow feelings from this album. I guess I get bright spring summer day. But I think the one thing I do want to mention in comparison wise is Cenotaph, since we did cover that recently.
Yep.
Talk about ambient albums to ambient albums. This is better. This has stuff going on.
I like Cenotaph, but this is better.
I'm trying to even remember Cenotaph.
Cenotaph is it's abstract and it's ambient. Yes, for me it's a begrudging okay, sure. Because not much happens on that album for 60 minutes.
Well, there's also two versions of that album. If we want to get technical, we listen to the CD version.
There's also a vinyl version.
Yes.
But I appreciate, having this in comparison where there's a reason I do like more ambient and, kind of classical instrumental kind of stuff when it is more progressive and is interested in giving you a little more melody, a little more of a vibe. Not saying all things have to do that, but in comparison, this is just more interesting.
Yeah.
That's really it.
Yeah, I'm kind of ready to move on in this one. There's always going to be a quick one on this one, I think.
Yeah.
No real favorites or least favorites. It's not really that kind of album, but I mean, if y'all think differently, let me know. But I guess
yeah, I don't really have a favorite or least favorite as well. It's not a blender. It's just I think the quality is kind of consistent because I think all the songs kind of really have the same issues and pros.
It's good. I might actually recommend this to my father. It's just hey, listen to this. You'll think it's pretty.
It's a cool little experiment. I think that's the best way of wrapping it up.
Yeah. My picks this week seem to be kind of just side project experimental, a little bit different takes on people we've covered before.
Mm-hmm.
Since we're talking about you just want to jump over to Postcard Nowhere?
Yeah. Sure. I'm happy to go on to it.
Yeah.
So, There Was Light in the Tunnel was an EP that launched in January of this year. Quick little 6-track boy, mainly worked on in 2023. And I think, Ritz, you had mentioned it to me before about you thinking I would cover it at some point.
Potentially. I assumed it would be, and I guess it's good to have it with the little side project EP as well.
Yeah, and this came out in August, so I'm well, you might as well do both.
Yeah, I mean, it's the I guess the first kind of proper Postcard Nowhere release since Juvenalia, because last year was Momentary Warmth. Even though that was, in a sense, still the Postcard Nowhere project, also wasn't. So
Right, B. Lambert was kind of doing a different thing with that one, and that is kind of the case here too. It's still a project with somebody else, but
yeah, and I liked the album with Momentary One Play. I thought turning it into more primarily acoustic tracks, but it still had the same kind of vibe from Postcard Nowhere, which is why it's kind of weird considering it as kind of another band in a way, but it is. So this is the first kind of now Postcard Nowhere name since, and it's also a collab EP in a way.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, in general, it seems like it is a solo project, but you have other people from bands like Plague Skater coming in to do bits and pieces here and there anyway. So it all kind of names are kind of irrelevant at a point, but there's also perhaps a reason to like kind of give different things different names to like give it a different sort of view, sort of light. That being said, I think the first EP was pretty good, was pretty interesting. It's a short little thing, but I think
they're both short little things.
Right, but the songwriting quality on the first one especially struck me. Like there's a certain, I don't want to, it's not a scumbagginess, but there's a certain kind of
by first, are you talking about There Was a Light in the Tunnel?
Yes, there was a light in the tunnel.
Yeah.
Kind of a 90s slacker teen kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, like Talk is definitely one of my favorites of the Postcard Nowhere stuff. Of the suite that has such a strong slacker vibe, just into the way the vocals are even sung.
Yeah, there's something about it that like it's not something that's outside of the realm of Postcard Nowhere. They've kind of done it before, but it's really striking how much it just sinks into a vibe 30 years ago.
Yeah,
like there's a feeling for me that like B. Lambert could do almost anything with like the songwriting and like what kind of guitar sequencing you put it to, because it feels sloppy in a way, but it also is not sloppy.
It's kind of structured sloppiness.
Yeah, it gives the feeling of anybody could do this, but a song like Nothing Out of Me is a song, and it has lyrics, and it has like some of that pop song kind of cadence and ideas to it. Like, I don't know if Taylor Swift would sing it, but I think she would be interested in listening to something like this because of how much it adheres to like a traditional structure, despite being sonically different.
Yeah, I think the thing that I feel disappointed with from both of these EPs is just because of the short length as well. We don't get those, like, whilst we do get some still good songwriting on here, I don't think we get that kind of wild variety that we surprisingly got on Juvenalia, which would go from having those slacker moments onto those small acoustic to the kind of like big bombarding lo-fi bursts that would happen.
Yeah.
And I guess it's not really a criticism more as it is a wish. I did wish that we kind of got a bit more on here to let these ideas kind of be better explored, because I think they are a bit too concise on these, and it's kind of like, well, once you've heard one song, in a sense, that's kind of all the surprises gone now.
I think Asleep has a really cool vibe and a really nice sound to it, but being like a minute 42, it's like, all right, we kind of get in, get out, but I wish there was definitely a little more to that vibe, because there's something there.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm kind of talking about this one first instead of Xenia is because Xenia is more of a quickie. Like the Bandcamp says, done in 2 days on a tape machine. And like it kind of shows. Like it's fine. It's more demo-y. It's just kind of some more ideas.
Yeah.
And they do sound different enough, I think, from the other EP that it's like I can see why they would call it something else.
Yeah, I mean, it still has that kind of sucker vibe going on, but it's not the exact same in style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this for Xenia, I get a little more. I don't know what the term would be. Like party child. Like we're gonna go to all the parties and do all the things. and be a little bit lost in our lives a little bit. But,
We're potentially going to make it out alive. We don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also kind of doesn't matter, but we're just here for the ride.
Mm.
I will say, calling it copyright really fucked with my Apple Music. Because apparently Apple Music does not like having the copyright symbol as a title.
Who would have guessed?
That song would not show up in my song list until I made it just a parenthetical C.
I had no issue with it, but I listened to it right on the Bandcamp app.
Yeah, that Bandcamp app do be working pretty well.
Still need to download it.
I think it was a similar problem with the who was it? Oh my god, I can't think of his name. LP.
Yep.
Yeah.
As in like Killer Mike and LP.
As in, I wish Morrissey would just fucking die. Who wrote that? JPEG Mafia.
Fucking JPEG Mafia.
God,
yeah.
What a fucking. Why did that take?
Yeah, I remember you had that issue with the original iPod.
Yes, where the fire emojis and shit would not show up. Though on the original iPod, it would still give you the file. It would just be a blank title.
Yeah.
On a phone now, it just won't give you the song until you change it.
Damn.
Maybe it's copyright protected.
Perhaps.
In the end, I don't think there's too much to talk about in this postcard nowhere outside of what we have. More so, it is, I guess, just a nice little burst that we've gotten on each of these EPs. Both of them kind of, sticking with that same sound for a very small kind of period and a couple of short little tracks, which isn't the highlights, I guess, of or I guess the reason that we're drawn into Postcard Nowhere with Juvenilia, because that was a much more varied album. But thinking about it, actually, I did like those kind of shorter, very more consistent moments on there. But there's no like horseless headman moment on this.
No.
On this.
But between Juvenilia, Sinner, and Momentary Warmth, I think there is a lot of prowess and talent that's shown off that I think justifies having these smaller moments be on their own thing too.
Yeah.
We know that B can do more, and we know that there could be more coming. Listening to songs like even like Maybe Tomorrow off of Momentary Warmth, it's like, yeah, there's some shit there. There's something to that. And I really am looking forward to whatever the next album actually is. But yeah, give us these little kind of experiments in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not here to be impressed. I'm here to just listen to the artist explore and evolve.
Yeah.
My favorite out of all these is Talk. I don't know, just hits right. I don't really have a least favorite on either. It is kind of it's a cheese sandwich is the term.
Wonderful cheese sandwiches. Yeah. Talk is probably my favorite, and I really don't have a least favorite.
I really like Nothing Out of Me and The Sleep. Nothing Out of Me, is that like a harmonica on that, or is that just like a really twangy banjo?
I'll have to listen again to tell you.
I have it pulled up right now.
I think you started singing Shania.
That's a banjo. That is a banjo.
Yeah, that was a cool pull. I really like how that sounds.
I always do enjoy me some good banjo.
So good points for the banjo. I think There's a Light is the better EP of the two.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, Xenia doesn't really have as much as stands out to me. I just will remember that copyright track for a long time because of the Trouble game. Alright, what else? Let's talk about... I'm going to shoot in the dark here. Let's say Armlock.
Armlock. That's how this set started every time.
How many times did you see them?
3 times. And I'll see them again. They're great. This is
hell yeah.
So Armlock, they are a Melbourne-based kind of slowcore emo band that is signed at Run for Cover out of all labels, despite the kind of small listening that they are starting to break out and break out and break out. And
Fear's over 100,000 listens on Spotify. That's something.
Yeah, it's not like they're completely unknown, but it's still not that big. But they're still got the signing of Run for Cover. They're going to be doing a tour of the UK, which that's insane. And yeah, I picked this album along with a bunch of other things. It's a short 18 little burst, and I guess despite me saying emo and slowcore a lot, I think the actual most comparable artist we have for this is Alex G.
Is that not just the indie comparison to always make?
Yeah, but this time it actually kind of makes sense.
I mean, Postcard Nowhere just tags Alex G in everything they put out.
Yeah, but Postcard Nowhere is less Alex G than when I'm thinking songs like Southern Sky or Ain't It Easy, where it has that kind of that high-pitched, processed vocals moments that happen in it, and you get quite a bit of that in Armlock. And I think there's a lot of the kind of the slow acoustic moments or just slow instrumentation that happens that feels very. It feels quite similar to moments that have been heard on the last Alex G album. I don't want to just throw out Alex G for the sake of Alex G. I feel like this is actually
I like this more than the Alex G album.
That's so reasonable. Because I like this a lot as well. Probably listened to this the most out of everything this week.
I mean, there was some weirder songs like Seashell, Angel Lucky Charm. The title track being kind of a weird interstitial thing was interesting.
Armlock, Seashell, Angel, Lucky Charm.
But LOV was really nice. Really pretty song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a short song as well. I think it's probably the shortest non-title track song on here.
Yeah.
And it's not like it goes through thousands and thousands of evolutions, but I always feel like it's longer because it has an outro to it that's really good.
And it kind of just goes into Seashell, Angel Lucky Charm in a sense.
Yeah.
So it feels longer. The cat is just trying to get my attention.
Hello, Dominic's cat.
They're saying hello to
How
you.
you go?
Hello.
Meow, meow, meow.
He's just
Monty says hi.
Manny, what do you gotta say? Squints.
But yeah, I think this is an album that it opens well because one, I think it's very kind of crooning, catchy riff that's happening in Ice Cold.
Yes.
The vocals, the lyrics are very kind of short, easy to understand, but I also feel like they have some kind of, I guess, emotion to them. It's quite easy to be grabbed by them. The album itself, admittedly, it's quite short, so it has a pretty easy excuse to not be so like kind of dragged down in the middle. I guess I think every song here kind of sticks with that same vibe that they're going on for, but stands out in its own way. I mean, Fair definitely does because it's the acoustic track at the end of this album.
It's the all killer no filler effect.
Nothing. This is an album, but it's not even 19 minutes.
Right. There's enough here that you get a good variety of their sound, but it's also not outlasting its welcome. It's not doing anything that it's like, we must include more to make it, this length for listening reasons.
Yeah.
Everything feels sequenced as it should be. And they're allowed to get weird with it, which is the nice thing too. Like, just because they're on a big label, they're not shying away from the Armlock. Seashell, Angel, Lucky Charm.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of use of sampling in here, which you can probably call a bit cliche in some points as well, like fear starting off with it. But yeah, I think it's stuff that still works with the vibe of what's going on in the songs.
Sunrun also samples.
Yeah. That's why I'm trying to say like cliche, because it's a very cliche thing for emo to do these days.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, but that's also like saying a guitar is overplayed.
No. don't have any counter. You've won the argument.
I'm not trying to dismiss your claim. It's more just like
no, and I'm not trying to dismiss the song either. It's just that I'm saying there are, just because this still kind of has their own sound kind of going on for this, and just because it's short doesn't mean it's not devoid of kind of some of the stereotypes that this genre usually has.
It's not doing anything super new. It's just kind of oh, this is cute. This is nice.
Yeah.
It's not insisting upon itself like the Oolong self-titled did.
No.
But I'm also not upset where it's like, oh, I'd rather listen to Carly Cosgrove.
Yeah, and when I say they're getting their own sound here, it's not like it's the sound of no one's ever been doing this kind of thing, because I did just compare it to Alex G, but it helps just, I guess, the vocals that are coming into here, just the way that it's kind of mixed in here. It's not so much that it's uniquely Armlock, but you can kind of, you really don't get much other comparisons when it comes to the direct sound here. It's more just the structure of the songs or the kind of influences that are coming into it. I'm trying to explain it the best way I can. Someone's probably going to go and say that was really stupid, and it probably was, but
You have nothing to apologize for. You're just trying to get.
No, apologize for everything. It's a catchy album. It's got a really good kind of sad emotional vibe going on with the instrumentation, even though it's not always I guess depressing. I don't think it's really a happy album. It's just that it's a slow vibe. You're never gonna get the heart racing to it.
It's a really pretty cover art too.
Although they didn't have any of the shirts in 2XL when I asked, so I'm gonna have to give this album a 2 out of 10.
Okay,
that means that they sold out of 2XLs the fastest.
Yeah. Well, I think they usually stock less at 2XL than they do like the mediums and larges, but yeah.
Emo bands, take note. Stock more 2XXLs than you think you need.
Someone once asked, hey, is there any Smith Street fans here who are 2XL? And I just replied, you're asking Smith Street fans, they're all 2XL.
I mean,
and then I said, yes.
Go up to 3 and 4. Do like the Weekend Run Club and get out there for your bear audience. We need shirts too.
I need to. I assume most bears would prefer shirtless anyway. But I need to get Dominic that little bondage bear I saw whilst I was up in Brisbane. need it.
I assume we're all 2XL, right?
I'm a 3.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
I assumed you both were like 3.
I'm actually slimming down. I fit well into a 2X now.
Nice.
I'm actually wearing a Weekend Run Club shirt in 3X right now.
Hell yeah!
We've got the Trixie Nikata avocado arc.
Well,
except you haven't harassed women.
No, I haven't. And it turns out that when you cook food all day, you kind of don't like food, so you just kind of eat whatever.
You don't want to cook more food.
No. So like a lot of the times I'm eating like just a taco over the trash can.
Very valid. Who's not been there at least once in their life?
Yeah.
Now that we're going on the rant, I mean this is a quick album, so it's always going to be quite quick to talk about as well. Especially with not much previously talked about in Armlock, but yeah, it's a good start for them. This is gotta have moments that'll be in my playlist for the rest of this year. I don't even have a song that I don't like on it. I think the least favorite out of all of it is the interlude, but I don't even really want to count that, so I guess I kind of have to say my least favorite song off it is Guardian. And that's still not even a bad song.
Mm-hmm.
I'll defend the title track because I think it's cute. My least favorite is probably going to be Godsend. My favorite's going to be LOVE.
Yeah, my favorites are Ice Cold and LOVE.
Ice Cold is probably my favorite, and no real least favorite. This was good.
Speaking of sampling, Sunrun.
Yeah, so I picked the shortest out of all of them, which was the non-Big Sound one, but I've also seen them 3 times, like every other artist.
For each song that I picked. Here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I saw him open twice for Luca Brasi, so that finally catches up for the Luca Brasi Spanish love songs wrap up that we did. And I saw him open for garage sale at the start of August. It's a very short EP, and you might be mistaken in thinking that this is just a bunch of people finding their footings, but no, this is technically a supergroup. This is a lot of emo members who have been around for quite a while in the last decade. Bands like Pinch Hitter, Oslo, they have written up on their Triple J on Earth, which I think there's also ties to Zounds in there, Snapes somewhere in there. And they've played with a lot of the current emo bands that are coming up right now. We've covered Keratin. They opened for them as well.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a case of this isn't just like a bunch of randoms making an emo EP. No, these are people who have been there for a while and still are here.
I think it shows. I think the songs are produced pretty well for like what they're going for, and I think the samples they use are clean and interesting too. Like
Look, I think my favorite moment, just to say, out of all the stuff that I've picked this week, or one of my favorite moments, I don't know if it's specifically my favorite moment, is just the start of Delay. Because I think it just all builds up so well that it's a very cathartic shouting, and it's just so great.
But I also like the voicemail, the Anna Dust. As sad as it is, it's just very. It's just a good cadence to that vocal, that voice, and it's just a very much like, we're just giving you our condolences, we're calling, we're family, yada yada, kind of one of those just sympathy calls that you never like getting, but. We've listened to some voicemails. Like I remember on Blonde, the stuff from Frank Ocean's mother was just kind of like rambly and like, "What are you doing?" Where this felt genuine and very heartfelt, And I'm kind of conditioned at this point where I feel like voicemails like this, where they're talking about we're praying for you and all this, I'm like, oh God, is this some kind of like family that doesn't talk to each other? Kind of like, we're praying for you because you're sinful. It's like, no. Very simple, very genuine. And I think that ethos kind of carries through all three songs, which makes them really enjoyable.
And this is the shortest thing that we picked this week. It is very short. Saying end sweet, I think, kind of kicks down the kind of vibe that's going on this. This is a very... it's near kind of pop-punky in some way, but it's not like in that pop-punk, the main pop punk sound. I more mean it in a way of it is very kind of highly produced.
Yeah,
which doesn't really discredit this album's sound or this EP's sound or anything like that as well. It still does have some genuine edge to its sound, but it is it's a very clean edge sound, which is so weird to say, but you understand when you listen.
I'm curious why it's Dave's Ohio.
Why not? I don't know. I haven't read into the lyrics of it.
Maybe it's just to have all the tracks start with the letter D.
I mean, yes, that's very fun. There's a Dave's Supermarket in Cleveland. There's a few of them. But there's also we also have Xenia, Ohio, so that's a fun little connection too.
Yeah.
And Xenia is just a city.
We're really good at rushing through the picks this week, admittedly.
Yeah, we are.
This last week and this week, I feel like we're kind of in the we covered some stuff, but it's nothing that's like super talk at length about, and it's just what we picked.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a case of like I like this EP. It's a really good short 7-minute EP.
Yeah.
All killer, no filler. Kind of EP. It's more one of those bring it up because there's something we can attach it to because it's kind of attached to that whole emo shit that I'm doing this week. And these are band members that have been around for a while. So when eventually other stuff gets picked, there is a big kind of cross back over to this, and it's more of an introduction pick, despite this being a good EP.
You do one of these a year, pretty much, and last year it was Ben Quad, and this year it's this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that Ben Quad single EP, whatever it was, 2-tracker.
Yeah. Pretty good.
And I like this. There was a music video for this EP, by the way, not for a single song, for the whole EP.
I like that. That's really fun.
Yeah.
It is mostly just a bunch of kind of live footage stitched together and stuff like that, but it is all kind of brought together as one video on the EP. It is officially on their site, and on their YouTube. So yeah,
the singular work.
Like I
Yes.
said on this, no real least favorites, but the best moment on this is that opening to delay because fuck that's cathartic and a half.
I like Dave's Ohio.
I like all three of these tracks. I think this is one of the stronger picks of the week for sure.
Yeah.
It was kind of unassuming for me at first, and then I listened to it a few more times. Like this is something. This is really interesting.
And you know what? There's a good review that's left on the Triple J Unearthed. And we can tie it back to another one. We can tie it back to Paper Finn because Spencer Scott from Paper Finn is a regular reviewer on Triple J Unearthed.
Hell yeah.
And he said it as, guess what? If you bring some of the most talented members of the Oz emo community together, they make a good emo song. And I think that wraps up what this EP's like.
Something Springfield, Ohio.
They've been around for a while, and a bunch of these underground bands that everybody in the scene has always been praising, and surprise, surprise, they're still good. That's Sunrun.
Yeah.
I'm ready to run for sun and run for fun when they come up again.
Well, what do you want to run for next time in this episode, though? I fucked up that seg, but what are we covering next?
Alright, let's just fucking do a swap meet and just talk about this Oxalis.
Alright, so Swapmeet, Adelaide-based slowcore band. I saw them 3.5 times. I saw them open for Garage Sale at Brisbane. Then I saw them play one of their Big Sound sets in full. Then I saw their set at Neverworld, and then I caught half of their remaining set at Big Sound. I'm getting all my names confused. I am fully ready to admit there is some country influence on this, and I like it. So shut up.
I mean, it's interesting. Like I would say of the ones you picked, this is probably my least favorite because it's good. Doesn't stand out as much as the rest until you get to I Wish I.
Yeah.
That's the track that really...
So I will take no fucking Ceiling Fan slander. I love the fuck out of that.
Actually,
track.
Ceiling Fan is fine too. I will give you Ceiling Fan. It's more of just Ceiling Fan sets the vibe, and then it goes along that vibe, and then the last track actually like pulls out the stop and says, "Wait, we're not done yet."
To a sense, I agree because Ceiling Fan and I Wish I these kind of two slow burning, but to these kind of really large scale outros that are happening on the tracks, I think are really satisfying, and I think they're really good build ups as well. The kind of slow, sad vibes bringing up into it makes this kind of payoffs cathartic, and to a sense, that's why I like that the rest of the EP doesn't always do that as well. Because if it was just 5 of these tracks, we get bored of it and ruin it all. That being said, I think some of these songs sound a lot better live than they do in the studio one, because I think they are just a bit, I guess, cursed in the production, cursed in the mixing, whatever you'd say. I think just the way that they perform them live makes it go a bit more, these songs hit these way. And it's not like they're bad. No, I still think this is a pretty good EP start to finish sound-wise. There's no moment on here I try to say, oh, that was a bore. But I do feel like when it's something that I come back to, like Collision, I love the hell out of that live, but it doesn't hit the same way when I'm listening to it.
I can see that.
Studio-wise. I summoned Trix to talk. Yeah. Is Trix alive?
Yeah, I'm alive. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
This was pretty good. A bit of a blunder for me, I guess. I'm trying to recall. Let me look at the track listing.
So I'm trying to shake out fucking hair and shit on my keyboard. Got way too much in there, you know?
It's the season.
I remember liking Lights in the Field. It was pretty good. As was I Wish I. Good little EP. Might make its way into my rotation occasionally.
I mean, Ceiling Fan's been stuck in my rotation. I just love it.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's just it's something of the way how the vocals hit. I mean, I love her voice. It's just working really well. I think. I mean, it's in the same in I Wish I as well, where she actually, well, I guess it's not the same, but it's a different moment where it goes, I guess, louder for the first time and starts to kind of really stretch her vocal cords.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to the rest of it, I don't know if that's the actual limit of what she can hold.
It's a trick that I've seen done before, but it's always very effective when done well.
Yeah.
So,
And
go ahead.
With Collision as well, I do admire that kind of like little glitchiness that happens before the outro starts. But again, that's something that hits just better live. I wish we had a bit more of that production. Well, it goes.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That hits a lot better live, and I wish we would have gotten a bit more of that production in the middle tracks as well, because I would have liked them to see to be a bit more kind of either sampley or experimental in this in some sense, just to give those tracks a bit more, I guess, interest to them, because whilst they are still good tracks, they don't stand out on their own.
No.
I mean, as part of a larger body of work, I think this would do really well on its own. It's like pretty good, but there's definitely a couple standout tracks.
Yeah.
I think we might have figured everything there is to say about this EP quite quickly again, because I mean, it's how it feels. There's a bit of there's variance on this EP. It's not the same song over and over, which is really nice. I like seeing that, especially from bands who are pretty early on, starting to expand a bit more. Having different vocalists on this as well was always a great thing as well. It's not just reliant on one person on here. We actually have some different stylings and different tracks because of that, which just feels weird, because the two tracks that we think stand out the most are, I mean, I guess they are the ones that are built to stand out the most, but they're the ones that have just the one vocalist on it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's how albums are built sometimes, right? Like, the ones that stand out obviously stand out.
Yeah. Despite the slowcore influence, there is some kind of alt country influence happening on here as well, which was kind of interesting to see attempted, even if it feels a bit... it doesn't feel out of place, it just feels a bit unexpected, I guess, to have from this kind of sound. So I'm glad that they were trying to go into these different styles. We'll have to see in the future what they decide to stick with.
They feel kind of like a disciple of a Wednesday or something.
In a sense, yes.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, we'll have to cover the MJ Lenderman at some point.
Oh yeah, MJ Lenderman's blown up pretty good. We should cover
it. And it's a good album.
I've seen the...
Maybe I do like country, I don't know.
I don't even know myself anymore. Talk about MJ Lenderman quite a bit, so...
We maybe I can finally get Ritz totally into Shaky Graves.
I think we need to revisit whether I Want That You're Always Happy really has the country influence or not.
It kind of does.
Dominic will die on the hill.
I mean, if you listen to it, it's there.
Yeah.
I have not heard that kind of twang outside of Something from the South in a minute.
Well, favorites of this EP: Ceiling Fan, I Wish I. The outros on both of those are just really satisfying, and those payoffs, those build-ups to those payoffs are also really good vibes as well. Least favorite of this, probably going to be Lights in the Field. I think that's, to me, the most forgettable song off this EP.
I agree.
Again, it's pretty good. It's pretty good the whole way through, though.
Yeah.
You like Lights in the Field, though, Trix. Don't just say yeah. Stand up for what you believe
in. Lights in the Field is pretty good. I appreciate a good finger picking. Yeah. Pretty good. What all I really have to say.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, did we just finish off my picks, or do we want to stop off for some Schoolhouse?
Sesame Girl.
Yeah. So this is the most different out of the four, because it's not emo.
Yeah.
It do be some indie rock.
It's dream pop.
Dream pop too.
You're all listening to some dream pop. Did I pick this because I had conversations with Heather about plushies? Yes.
But it's also one of the better picks of the week for you.
Yeah.
Oh no, I like this EP. Don't get me wrong.
This whole thing is pretty great.
Yeah.
Like a song like Faking It has some really cool lyrics to it. I like how Boys and Hey X sound. Hey Phone I don't remember as much, but just like straight through, it's just like, yep, okay.
Boys' chorus is, I'm not less interesting than you just because I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Payphone is actually probably my favorite because of that killer almost surf riff it uses.
Yeah, but the opening lyrics are not asexual, Trix. You cannot enjoy this. You do not want the lights turned down low because you do not want to be in a sex movie.
Maybe I do.
Or maybe you do. You just want to be the pizza delivery person, but you don't want to. You don't want to be involved in sex.
My thing is they don't want to pay, so it's like, okay, I'll take this pizza then. Thanks. Yep. You got me dinner.
But wait, we can pay you in sex.
No, you just paid me in this pizza.
But what are we gonna use for the comically small covering later?
Find a book off your shelf.
Sorry, I can't give you this pizza. There's a hole in the box. It's gone cold. Sorry. I'm gonna have to come back with another one.
Yeah.
I think this.
That whole broken. 30 minutes or less. It's free. Yeah, it's never true here. If my thing doesn't come, I ask. All right, give me a refund. I didn't get my pizza. I'm like, no, sorry, we can't. We can give you store credit. I'm like, no, fuck off. Give me a refund. And I'm never ordering from fast food chains again because I figured I'd do it once, and for the first time in a couple of years, and that's shit, man. They're fucking shit.
I like this local chain called DP Dough that does real cheap calzones.
So going back onto this, do you know where the actual kind of big connection that we have to another artist that we've covered is, Dominic?
Blind Girls?
Nope.
No, I don't.
OK Hotel.
Okay.
Hotel.
Yeah, the singer guitarist from OK Hotel is in this band as well.
Oh, fun! I like this more than OK Hotel.
Yeah.
I don't compare apples and oranges if they're both good.
I'm looking at Sesame Girl on Bandcamp, and I'm disappointed they only have merch. No CDs or tracks or albums or anything.
They don't even have the vinyl?
They don't even have the album on Bandcamp.
That's a shame. But yeah, this is so it's not the debut EP. I think it's the second EP they put out. Yep, they had a Lucky Charm EP back in 2022. This one is technically 2024 cycle because it came out December 8th.
Mm-hmm.
All the middle songs, however, are not 2024 because they're all singles beforehand. So only Darling and Payphone are. But it's a nice little dream pop EP. There are some really kind of catchy moments on this. It's not that dreamy in the sense of
it's not Purity Ring.
In the sense of it's not Purity Ring. It's not real ambience. It's more closer to an Always type of sound.
It definitely is. It definitely gives indie rock, but more dreamy than that.
Mm-hmm.
The cover is giving very Caro Bonito.
Yeah, don't try to think about it as that Drake album.
I can only think whenever I think of that album, I can only think of the edit that somebody did where it was just pregnant Sonics.
Oh no.
I'll see if I can find that.
I think the first two songs on here as well are probably my least favorites of this, just because I think the closing three are a lot stronger and the kind of sound quality there really shows. But it's not to say that the opening two songs don't really have their place or aren't interesting in their own right.
That's interesting because I really do like the first two tracks. I think Baking It especially kind of gives you a great insight into the way the band is and what they believe and what they want to write about.
Mm-hmm.
That I believe that's a song about disability or having issues.
Yeah, I thought it was being seen as faking depression for attention or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't have the lyrics in front of me, so I'm just gonna look at it. Let me look.
Let's cross reference.
Yeah, because it's kind of that sardonic kind of yeah, I'll still play the victim. I don't have depression. I just want attention.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of really going far with just smile more. You'll be happy then.
Yeah.
I mean, Japanese Wallpaper also produced this for the record, Ritz.
Yeah, because Japanese Wallpaper is God. I would never take any any insults towards Gab Strum. But there is also the Fletcher Matthews connection on this as well, who I believe did the Rave Tapes album.
Ah.
And the Stumps album.
Dancing
And the
'Cause
Dear
I'm
Seattle.
Sad. No explanation.
Interesting.
No, I don't think they did the. They might not have done the Rave Tapes album, but yeah, they did. They did Dancing 'Cause I'm Sad. Done the Jet City Sports Club. Did the OK Hotel. Done the Boys, which I don't think we've covered. What else is on there? I've done a lot. Fletcher Matthews has been around for a while.
Very valid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good. That's kind of the problem sometimes when you do a lot of EPs, right? Where it's like there's just quite a bit to listen to. So sometimes we just kind of boil it down to like we kind of like all of these. But I genuinely do think that this album, this EP, is one of the better ones of the week for sure. And I think again it's because of how much personality and identity they imbue in just such a short time span.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this is a collection of a lot of short EPs and an album, I guess, that I did this week. I think they're all good, for the record. I don't think there was a dud pick this week. Yeah, I like the Sesame Girl EP as well. Outside of the Plushie Talk, it wasn't just the Plushie Talk. It did like the EP, but yeah, it's a bit of a big sound wrap up.
Big sound, Ohio.
Big sound.
The favorites of this, Hey X. Can't really say more other than it's just catchy in the right ways. Dopamine hit. Least favorite, probably Darling, just by the fact that it's the least favorite. That's just it. I like Payphone as well.
I'll say my favorites. I'm gonna just do the middle, Faking It Boys and Hey X. My least favorite's Payphone.
My favorite is Payphone. No real least favorite. This is a really good EP.
Well,
now
we got nothing else to pick. It's Schoolhouse time.
Schoolhouse Rock, baby. Trix, your 2-week plan has come to fruition.
Yeah, and one of these is incredibly good, and one of them is just kind of okay.
I mean,
I agree.
Yeah, one of them is like fucking balls to the wall. The other one's kind of like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but I figured better cover them both because I'll probably never cover them again.
I mean, you may as well do both if there are only two.
Yeah.
But yes, in the 90s, Schoolhouse Rock, which is from the 70s and 80s, I guess had a bit of resurgence, and they asked a lot of artists to cover the songs. Like, whatever ones they wanted, or maybe they were assigned them, who knows. And so you had bands in the first tribute album like Blind Melon and Better Than Ezra and Pavement and Mano Astroman and Daniel Johnston.
Yeah.
All doing tracks with Ween's here, fucking Bismarcky.
Gilo, Bismarcky.
Okay, so there's just one thing we have to mention because we can't just gloss over it. How the fuck is the Skilo cover really good?
It is.
The person that we know basically nothing about other than they did, I wish I was a little bit taller, I wish I was a bowler. No, apparently they were a really competent rapper the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it's also a very basic cadence and a very basic song in that sense.
Yeah.
But it's still good.
It's great.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's something to be said about the era of, like, the 90s when they were really trying to incorporate rap and hip-hop more into, like, music subgenres and things like that. And this is just a great example of an era in which you would just ask bands to do stuff, and it didn't matter what their stuff was like before, if they were more adult-oriented or teen-oriented, and then they just did it because they wanted to, right? I feel like now you wouldn't get this. Now you'd go for, like, really safe, Christian-oriented or very specifically kid-oriented artists for stuff like this. And I think that's a disappointment.
Despite the lack of politics, I feel like there would be some people who would be afraid of alienating people with the topics that are put on here. Just how divisive, I guess, fucking idiots are.
Which is crazy because most of this, like, there's some stuff on the political one that's a little more like that, but like,
yeah.
But yeah, even now, some of the stuff on just the regular one feels like you would be asking a band to like risk losing shit over doing a one song. Like Muse would never touch this.
No.
And I just gotta say, Trix, we've had a lot of times where during a very simple, kind of, I guess, very open-ended first week leading into the second week hasn't had a really good payoff. But I've got to praise you on this, Trix. You were absolutely cooking here.
Hell yeah.
The first week of just saying, don't worry too much, just learn what it is, and then going into this, absolutely worked.
Hell yeah.
I found this funny in the right ways. Not laughing at how bad it was just laughing at how obscure this was a thing, kind of for nostalgia, but actually vibing with how different the takes were, because it's not just a case of like, oh yeah, I guess this is just them doing the Schoolhouse Rock songs and stuff. Knowing how it actually sounded and the kind of styles that was done and how it's gone into here also kind of shows just how wildly different it's been done. Like, the deluxe folk implosion of I'm Just a Bill is so chaotic in its structure.
Yeah.
And the Chavez little 12 toes is so heavy.
It is.
Like, there are songs here that are shorter than the original version. There are songs here that are longer than the original version. I think that speaks more to the genres and the styles that they were embracing.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to know, like, kind of like the Judgment Night soundtrack. Like, who did this? Who put this together? Because the inspiration to talk to some of these bands, I think, is fascinating.
Yeah, very much so.
Because, like, how else do you smash together Pavement and Man or Astro Man? And that's your single at that.
Yeah.
And then, again, just fucking Daniel Johnson. Amazing.
This is like the first time we've talked about him, too.
The Daniel Johnson song, he's always had a very kind of like childlike way of his song delivery or the production into there. And it feels almost like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's a bad song off this, for the sake of it's all just everyone's doing it their own way. It's so interesting. This is genuinely a really fucking good cover album.
Yeah.
And
that's insane.
There's a simplicity to it. Just like, pick a song, do it your way. I wish that we would get more stuff like that.
Oh, 100%.
In fact, I think my least favorite off here is just the Moby cover, because I don't care that much about Moby. But he's still done it in his own way.
Yeah, and it's okay, but it's Moby.
Yeah.
I'm probably done on the Biz Markie one, just because I think Biz Marquie's going for something that the song doesn't deliver quite as well. Like, it's trying to be a little more grand, but the lyrics don't really make it sound very grand and jazzy and all that. It's just a little more subdued and straightforward. But, I mean, we also got the other one, too, right? This more political version. We got Isaac Hayes doing I'm Just a Bill, Etta James suffering till suffrage.
Yep.
Sugar Hill Gang doing fireworks. Kind of a very similar thing to Skilo.
Yeah, this one didn't have the same appeal to me. The first one's just hits better because there's a lot more variety, I feel like, goes into it. This one, whilst it still has that kind of the same take with, these are artists doing it their own way, I feel like it just gets a bit too stuck in its own kind of sound that it loses its fun, which is what really it had going for it.
Yeah, if the first album was like that, then I don't know if we'd be doing this.
Because, like, I like the Isaac Hayes voice on this, obviously, but having just heard the version on the other album, which sounds so wildly different. It's not like Isaac Hayes sounds like forgot who the
Deluxe Welcome
the person. No, the first person to do the I'm Just a Bill, the actual original voice.
Oh,
I don't know off the top of my head.
I'll get it.
Yeah,
it's one of the regular people in Schoolhouse.
Yeah.
I think it's like Jim Sheldon or some shit or something like that. But Isaac Hayes sounds closer to
Jack
that
Sheldon's
than
correct.
it was. What the? Let's go! I'm going
Hell
to be
yeah.
a millionaire. Your next question for 500 grand. Who was in Paris? Oh no.
Fellas in France.
But yeah, Isaac Hayes feels closer voice styling is just how it's going. Obviously, the actual voice is completely different,
Yeah.
but just
Yeah.
the way that the song goes, it's just not as wildly different, and that really suffers for this when we're comparing it. But it's still an interesting take. It's just it's the lesser of the two.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more of a, like, the first one was just so wildly interesting that unless you went, similarly crazy, you're just not going to have as interesting of a result.
No.
Like, unless you're getting, like, the first two artists I was going to say are canceled now, so it wouldn't even make sense.
Go ahead and say it though.
Michael Jackson or R. Kelly.
Well, they're huge. Yeah, they would have been huge for this. This is 1998.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you had gotten them, or like people, I don't know, like House of Pain or something else that was big in the 90s to do them the more political style one, or Rage Against the Machine, imagine that happening.
Or Cypress Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that one feels like more of a missed opportunity, and just the variety. Of course, Etta James is something not to shy away from at all.
Yeah.
But it's not the same. It's just not, because
Yeah.
where else are you going to find the variety of the first album? Like the first.
Well, it felt like there was more, and this one it felt more political, which is not the issue. The issue is that despite that, the first one still felt like it had more edge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like Blind Melon, Better Than Ezra. Like, you're never gonna find these bands put together anywhere else.
No.
This was fun. This was a fun one. I thank you, Trix. You're allowed to come back inside tonight.
Hell yeah.
Can I sit on the couch? Gone too far.
I believe that this was one of the last. The Blind Melon cover was one of the last songs the original singer did before dying.
Yep.
That's something. Deluxe Full Complosion. The Full Complosion is, of course, somewhat related to Dinosaur Jr.
That's pretty cool.
I forgot who Chavez was related to, but they're related to someone interesting as well. I originally thought, it's like, is this a unicorns or something? But no, for the unicorns time.
And then what is Skilo doing now?
Wishing he was just a little bit taller still.
I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a go.
You know what we should have done?
Rabbit and a bat.
I thought it was a rabbit in a hat.
No, I'm pretty sure it's rabbit and a bat.
God, Skilo, you didn't wish for the right stuff here, but you know what I would have wished for?
What?
An Armlock shirt and 2XL.
Well, his next album didn't come out till 2001, and then his third album came out in 2012. So, aside from the handful of singles he put out in the one album in the mid-90s, I think he just kind of disappeared because he just didn't do anything else until a few years later.
Which is a shame, because I'd honestly call I Wish one of like the least hated hip-hop songs imaginable, because like I feel like if you put that on, anybody's going to be like, oh yeah, this is pretty good.
What would have been fun is if we had kind of figured out what would a modern version of Schoolhouse Rock be. Like, what bands would we get?
Ooh.
You know what? I think that's a mini-sode for a later day, because I feel like that's something we're actually going to spend some time on.
Yeah,
That's got legs.
This gives me an idea for something else that I want to do later in the year, actually. So we'll see.
All right.
We should spend a mini-sode or something like that, and just like thinking of different compilations and just who would fit on that.
I mean,
Fantasy compilations.
Origami Angel, Little 12 Toes, calling it now.
Your
favorites of this?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say like Mike Kroll covering something for me.
We could do Mike Kroll doing Lolly Lolly Lolly.
I could see that.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We would do. What would Of Montreal do?
You know what? This screams something perfect for Sufjan Stevens to just randomly jump on.
Sufjan Stevens would do.
Mr. Morton.
Yes, I was gonna say that. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Just like a heart wrenching version of it.
I'm imagining it now. Nah. Oh, this gives me a great idea. We'll put a pin in this
Anyway,
and come back to it.
Yeah. Favorites,
Right.
I'm just a Bill Deluxe Folk Implosion version, Little Troll Chobes Chabbers version. The Manor Ashterman and the Daniel Johnson and Skilo ones up there as well. Least favorite out of all of this, probably something off the Rocks the Vote one, but off the Schoolhouse Rocks, it's the Moby one.
I'm gonna completely agree with Ritz. Summed up my thoughts exactly.
I'm gonna agree as well.
And now we got to do the thing of ranking all this. Fucking hell.
Oh God.
This is a hard one.
You know what? I'm
This
gonna
is
start.
9 things to rank.
So, just to put up and how I'm going to rank this, we have a couple things that can be compared with each other and things that stand out. And I think when I had to come to what comes last here, it's realistically what is outshined the most out of all this, because there's a couple things which we can put at the bottom here, but this one I think, well, it just by comparison, it's been screwed over. So maybe in another week where it didn't have all this, it would have been maybe a little bit higher. But when we have Schoolhouse Rock rocks, the Schoolhouse Rock the vote is it's a massive downplay, and I think I like it the least out of everything that we've listened to in full. So I'm gonna have to put it as the bottom.
That's fair.
After that, I think I'm gonna do Mydreamfever.
Okay.
Then I'll do the copyright EP. So that's at 7. Now we've got 6 more to go on here. And then I think I like all my picks more than it, sorry. So I'm gonna have to put the postcard nowhere above the copyright one. Then at the fifth place, I'm probably gonna put at the 5th place. I'm gonna put Swapmeet for now, just as a full EP, and then at 4th, I'm gonna put Sunrun. At 3rd, I'm gonna put Sesame Girl.
Right.
And then 2, I'm gonna put Armlock, and then 1, I'm gonna put the Schoolhouse Rocks, because it's just so wild, so fun on that. Whilst I do like the Armlock as a full thing, and it was a close battle between those two, this is really fun. This is one of my favorite cover albums I think we've covered on this podcast. So it can get the win. It can get them.
My list is similar, but there are a few differences. I'm gonna put Schoolhouse Rock's the vote at the bottom. Then I will put the copyright EP. Then Mydreamfever. After that, I'm gonna do Oxalis, Armlock, Postcard Nowhere and Janitor, Sunrun, Sesame Girl, Schoolhouse Rocks the vote. Or not Rocks the vote, Schoolhouse Rock rocks.
Yeah.
All right. Let me pull up the list, and I'm just gonna go heart of the cards what I'm feeling, and I'm gonna go Schoolhouse Rocks the vote at the bottom. Then I'm going to put the copyright EP. Then I'm gonna throw Armlock, Sunrun, Mydreamfever, There's a Light in the Tunnel, Swapmeet, Sesame Girl, Schoolhouse Rocks.
And that is a universal number 1.
Hell yeah.
Did we also say Sesame Girl for number 2 as well?
No, because I put Armlock as my number 2.
Yeah, okay, that makes
sense. So Trix, I must say, just before we all kind of celebrate here, you sacrificed even having a ranking last week to build this up. This is probably one of the most deserved universal number 1s we've had in a while. Because this was cooked.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's great.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
And I found this because I slept through the Muse episode.
Well, hey. Sometimes
you were cooking for a while on this one.
Sometimes things just happen. And you're always at the right place at the right time. You just don't know what that is yet.
Yep.
Speaking about things that happen, what are we covering next week?
I can go first.
Sure.
I have a bit of a theme this week, and I feel like I've been too easy on you these last couple weeks. So I got 3 albums for you, and they all have a theme of bands we've covered that either I was anticipating an album from them, or in one case, I was not expecting this at all because I thought the band had broken up.
Okay.
And so starting off, we're going to do Joe P's Garden State Vampire.
That is a throwback.
And I'm doing this one. I'm kind of tacking on to what I had initially planned because it's got some stuff we've covered on it already.
Sure.
So it's shorter listening in a sense. Then I also have Rainbow Kitten Surprises Love Hate Music Box, which I've been waiting for this album since I finished listening to How to Find Love, Friendship, whatever the hell that one's called.
How to Friend Love Freefall, something like that.
Yeah, Love, Friendship, Freefall. And lastly, the band that I thought had broken up is we're gonna do Dr. Dog's Dr. Dog.
They did a self-titled.
Yeah, it's their 11th album.
Okay.
Oh, Dominic, what are you picking?
I think it is fair to say we are now in the home stretch of Radiohead news. This is the episode I've arguably been awaiting ever since we started doing Dissonant Wave.
Okay.
On the Radiohead side, they are doing their side project, Atoms for Peace. The album title
Yes, that is something you have talked about quite a lot over the past 5 and a bit years.
We're doing the album's called Amok, whatever.
Amok.
If you if you want to do their B-sides and all the remixes and shit, there's not that many. There's like a handful. If you want to cover those as well, be my guest. It's not required, but the album is. And then on the other side, on Muse, we're gonna wrap up Jaded Hearts Club with their actual album, You've Always Been Here.
All right.
I need to think of something to pick, and I said I'd pick some 2024 stuff. Has anybody got a vibe that they want me to pick this week?
Spooky,
but also something that it'd be silly not to pick it.
Spooky, but it would be what kind of spooky?
Dealer's choice.
Like, or Dominic, what type of spooky? Like something that's like
I'm thinking
like scaring the hose.
I'm thinking like campy, like Frankie and the Witch Fingers.
Okay, so not kind of like psychedelic kind of spooky.
Yeah.
We'll go there.
Jeez, let's see if I can find something or some. I'm thinking of that. Because we've still got a bit until there's a couple albums that I know are coming out early October that I'm kind of ready to pick. I was really hoping I'd find an album by now on this pick. Jeez,
I'm sure bands we've covered have albums out.
You know what. It might not be that psychedelic one, but this is one that I It's a short album. It is December 1st, 2023.
Okay.
So it is just technically in the 2024 cycle. And I think it might not be spooky in that same way, but I think spooky might still have some kind of vibe into it. So more, I guess, Terrified is the one I'm going to go for, just because, just basing it off the album art, which is the smoke from 9/11.
Ooh.
That is When No Birds Sang from Nothing and Full of Hell.
Okay.
Nothing and Full of Hell.
Yep, that collab album. This one. I'm not going to say what type of sound it is. Just no further explanation. That's what we're covering.
Okay. Is that it?
Yep. We already got enough. I don't need to add anything else.
All right, just one.
Fair enough.
So that brings us to the collab between Nothing and Full of Hell, When No Birds Sang. That's Ritz's pick. I have chosen Atoms for Peace, their album Amok. And if you want to listen to their other stuff, you can. And then Jaded Hearts Club, You've Always Been Here. Trix, you have chosen Joe P's Garden State Vampire, Rainbow Kitten Surprise, Love Hate Music Box, and Dr. Dog's Dr. Dog.
Yes.
That's going to be it for Dissonant Waves. My name is Dominic. You can catch me online at DACICHOCKI on Twitter, Dominic Chakotky on YouTube if you must. I'm on the Games by Monfound podcast sometimes. We are doing more Kingdom Hearts than ever. So listen, stay tuned for that.
I have been Ritalin. I am not in your walls. I am by my desk. I also have a YouTube channel. That's where I post some stuff. And a Bandcamp and Ritalin for Kids at GitHub.io.
I have been Trix, and you can find me in the city hunting for more naked men.
Hallelujah, naked men.
That is otherwise known as Brisbane.
Amen. Okay, that'll do it for us, everybody. Have a wonderful Tuesday, but only Tuesday.
Mwah.
Bye-bye.